November 17th was no ordinary day. On this day, the Earth's average surface temperature was 2 degrees Celsius higher than the pre-industrial average for the first time, providing more evidence of a fast buildup of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Abdul Rehman Bhat, an apple grower in Kashmir's Shopian district, was not aware of the significance of November 17th. Neither was he particularly invested in the deliberations that would take place later at the UN Climate Summit, COP28, in Dubai. But, thanks to climate change, the last 4 Chilla-i-Kalaan apple harvesting seasons have been nothing short of a nightmare for him. A sharp fluctuation in temperature across the valley resulted in unseasonal snowfall or early summers, leading to heavy damage to apple orchards. The apple crop has become vulnerable to diseases due to changing weather patterns. There was a heat wave in February and March of 2023, causing the mustard to bloom at an unusual time. Then Kashmir was hit with excessive hail, storms, and erratic rain. Temperatures in May became chilly, unexpectedly, while February and March were warm. Experts say there has been a 30% decline in apple production, resulting in severe distress among the farming communities. Sajid Mir, another grower from North Kashmir's Baramulla district, says last year, his 3 acres of orchid produced 500 boxes of apples, but this year, he could harvest only 300 boxes. Mir and Bhat were not alone in their plight when faced with a rapidly changing weather pattern. Last year, a single administrative block of Punjab lost over 700 rupees crore as 2 weather events struck the farmers within 60 days. The Fazilka district in the state experienced a frost in January, destroying 20% of the Kinau citrus crops. The frost attack also shortened the harvesting season as the quality of remaining fruits deteriorated, reducing shelf life to just a few days, and thereby restricting the market. Just as the farmers were coping with the loss and hoping to make a recovery in the wheat crop, an unusually hot March put an end to such hopes. The wheat kernels did not ripen fully. The citrus flowers in the new batches of the perennial Kinau plants did not mature into fruits either. The wheat yield plummeted by around 20% and half of the citrus crop was lost. Agriculturally, the block is the least prone to risk. A shift in weather patterns is the most visible impact of climate change. Ever-expanding summers, shortening of winters, mosquitoes in December in Delhi, dengue outbreaks in Himachal Pradesh, floods in Rajasthan, and short spells of high-intensity rains like the one that hit Chennai a few days ago, these are telltale signs of changing weather. However, even though the world recognizes the vulnerability caused by changing climate, it has done precious little so far to reverse the trend. One of the objectives of COP28 was to take stock of the actions that nations have undertaken since the Paris Pact of 2015. Science indicates global greenhouse gas emissions need to be cut 43% by 2030, compared to 2019 levels, to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. But nations are off track when it comes to meeting their Paris Agreement goals. While a few announcements on financial commitments were made at the summit with much fanfare, financial pledges are far short of the trillions eventually needed to support developing countries with clean energy transitions, implementing their national climate plans and adaptation efforts. Scientists have projected that the guardrails of 1.5 degrees or 2 degrees Celsius will be breached in the foreseeable future if the world continues on the business-as-usual path without drastic cuts in carbon emission. February recorded the highest temperature in India in the past 120 years, and according to the World Meteorological Organization, 2023 is set to end as the warmest year ever recorded. The impact of rising temperatures will be felt more by low- and middle-income countries like India, which is the world's 7th most climate-vulnerable nation. An analysis by the Council on Energy, Environment and Water suggests that 3 out of 4 districts in India are extreme event hotspots, with 40% of the districts exhibiting a swapping trend, that is, traditionally flood-prone areas are witnessing more frequent and intense droughts and vice versa. India's average temperature has increased by around 0.7 degrees Celsius between 1901 and 2018. In a recent 30-year period, 1986 to 2015, temperatures of the warmest day and the coldest night of the year have risen by about 0.63 degrees Celsius and 0.4 degrees Celsius, respectively. The summer monsoon precipitation has declined by 6% from 1951 to 2015, but there has been a recent shift toward more frequent dry spells, 27% higher during 1981 to 2011 relative to 1951 to 1980, and more intense wet spells in these 4 months. As a consequence, storms are becoming cyclones, droughts are affecting more than half of the country, and catastrophic floods are striking some parts of the country almost every year. India suffered an economic loss of $4.2 billion in 2022 due to extreme weather events and climatic disasters, most of which were caused by floods, as per the WMO. An analysis by the Center for Science and Environment shows that India has witnessed an extreme weather disaster almost every day of the first 9 months of this year. While the poor and the marginalized are the hardest hit, women and children are even more vulnerable to climatic variations. Rain is not new to us in Western Ghats. However, intense spells of rain in a short period of time, which is a recent phenomenon, is damaging our crops. The natural drains are not equipped to handle such heavy rain, resulting in flooding, he says. The monsoon showers that used to set in the first week of June are now setting in the last week of June or the first week of July. Monsoon is withdrawing a month late. There are intermittent rains till November or December, resulting in a short winter season when flowers need to bloom. The changing weather impacts the coffee cultivation in a big way. Floods, cyclones, and heat waves have intensified, affecting the food, water, and energy security, resulting in the loss of lives and livelihoods. Domestic migration is happening from agriculture-dominated areas of northern states that are facing rainfall deficits to the megacities like Mumbai that are facing increasing climate risks due to heavy rains, cyclones, and a rising sea level. Farmers in Rajasthan have adopted innovative farming methods like pitcher irrigation to combat climate change in the dry lands. They also construct embankments, water harvesting structures to capture rainwater and prevent runoff and soil erosion, besides choosing crops like pearl millet that are more suited to the climate. The frequent rough weather alerts result in loss of human days of work in the fisheries sector as well. The coastal community is suffering damage to properties including houses, fishing boats, and equipment due to such weather. Yet another warning came from Chennai just a few days ago. Tropical cyclone Maikhang caused devastating damages as Chennai received 500 millimeters of rain in just 36 hours. This is very much on the higher side. The IPCC models suggest rainfall associated with tropical cyclones' landfall will increase manifold with global warming. All the impacts seen so far are in response to the 1 degree Celsius rise in global warming. The current trajectory of carbon emissions points to a 2 degrees Celsius global warming by 2050. This means India will face extreme weather events that are more intense, frequent, and cover larger areas. Climate change has a huge impact on a population's physical and mental health, and health data is urgently required to build early warning systems into public health care. Climate models indicate that a changed monsoon pattern will be more common in the future, particularly the extreme rains that cause floods. The COP28 does not show a global political will to act on that. As a 2 degrees Celsius global change is closing in, India needs to urgently disaster-proof every village and city.